Two markets looked at the same rocket this week, Warband, and they came back with opposite verdicts. One sold in fear, the other fought, nearly $90 billion strong, to climb aboard. This is Thursday, June 25th, 2026. Cold steel, clear eyes. Let me show you which market to trust. As of just past 5 o'clock Eastern, Bitcoin trades at 61,600, down about 1.5 points on the day, pressing once more on the early June low near 61,000. The floor the head of Coinbase has publicly called at 60,000. Nvidia closed last night just under $200, knocked clean off the $5 trillion perch it held only a day before. And the engine spoke in both directions while you slept. At 1:30 yesterday afternoon, the InvestAnswers Decision Support System flipped the Nasdaq 100 trend bearish, the broad tech tape rolling over. Then at 4 o'clock this morning, Eastern, the same engine flipped Ethereum's trend the other way, bullish, with Ethereum near 1,650. And at 8 last night, Palantir threw a full confluence buy, red on the broad tape, green on select scarce names. Hold the shape of that, it is the whole morning, and I will come back to it. First, the rocket. SpaceX brought its first investment-grade bond to market this week, and the demand was historic. They came looking to raise $20 billion. The order book swelled past $90 billion, so they upsized the deal to $25 billion, and it still sold 3.5 times over. It settles tomorrow. Now hear the split, because this is the lesson. The same week the bond desks fought 3-1 to lend this company money, the stock crowd was sprinting the other way. SpaceX went public on the 12th at $135 a share. The early euphoria had already cooled hard, and as the debt deal crossed the wire, the equity crowd took fright at the word debt and sold it down into the low 150s, a third of its post-IPO high. So read it plainly. The loud market, the retail equity tape, flinched at a sound. The quiet market, the investment-grade bond desks, the most conservative, most risk-averse capital on this earth, looked at the very same company and stampeded to fund it. Nearly $90 billion of orders, chasing a $25 billion deal. When the most cautious money in the world fights 3-1 to lend you that much, that is not a verdict on a ticker's mood. It is a verdict on the cash flow underneath. And the cash flow is Starlink. Better than $10.5 billion of revenue last year, 2/3 of the entire company, the only profitable engine it owns, bandwidth raining down from low orbit that no rival on the planet can match. This is the scarce build getting termed out with permanent patient capital, funding the rockets, the constellation, the compute, the whole orbital empire under one roof. The crowd trades the candle. The bond market underwrites the decade. Now back to that engine, because the divergence it painted overnight is the sharpest signal on the board. The macro tape turned hard risk off this week. The 10-year treasury yield ripped to 4.5%. The old rate hike fear came roaring back, and the artificial intelligence hardware complex took the worst of it. Nvidia fell 6% and lost its crown. The rest of the chip names fell harder still, 9% and more, better than $1 trillion of silicon value erased in a matter of days. And the engine confirmed the damage. The Nasdaq 100 trend cut bearish, but underneath that red tape, the hardest money on the board is being quietly hauled in. While Bitcoin pressed to a marginal new low, two marks flashed on-chain that the price has not caught up to. The supply held by long-term holders, the strong hands, the coins that never move, just hit a new all-time high, better than 16.5 million coins. And the Bitcoin sitting ready to sell on Coinbase just fell to an 8-year low. When the float drains and the strong hands swell, the price is the last thing to know it. Add the first positive day of Bitcoin fund flows in 6 weeks. Log Tuesday, and Ethereum's trend turning green at 4 this morning, and the picture sharpens. The crowd is selling the surface. The patient hand is stacking the floor. Invest. Answers framed the right question this week. Too late to rotate, and answered it with discipline. This is no wild everything rally. It is Bitcoin's season, dominance riding high, and the rotation that is happening is selective, hunting only the names with real scarcity and real cash flow. That Ethereum trend flip and that Palantir Confluence buy are the engine picking its spots, not a flare to chase every coin that twitches green. One more front, and it strikes at the very iron this whole build runs on. Yesterday, OpenAI and Broadcom pulled the cover of OpenAI's first custom chip. They call it Jalapeno, an inference processor built in just 9 months, designed with OpenAI's own models put to work accelerating the chip design itself. Broadcom's chief claims it runs at roughly half the cost of a conventional graphics chip, with gigawatt-scale deployment alongside Microsoft due late this year. Sit with the shape of that. For 3 years, every soul in the artificial intelligence race paid NVIDIA's toll. The graphics chip was the choke point, the scarce iron everyone leased by the rack. Now, the largest model maker has used intelligence itself to design silicon that routes around the toll at half the price. The abundance has turned and bitten the hand that fed it. NVIDIA's training clusters are still booked solid, but the inference mode just took its first real spear, and that is a piece of why the stock lost a crown this week. And now the Musk camp has loosed its own volley. Grok's video engine just went live at $4.20 a minute, 86% below what its largest rival charges. 2 camps, 1 direction. The cost of machine intelligence collapsing toward the floor, whether it is the chip that runs it or the picture it paints. So, here is the morning, Warband. The loudest market sold the rocket, while the deepest, most patient capital on earth fought 3-1 to fund it. The broad tech trend rolled over and $1 trillion in silicon burned, while underneath, the strong hands stacked Bitcoin to a new record and the sellable float drained to an 8-year low. Loud is not the same as smart. Read the quiet market every single time. This is Warband as a service. Viking intelligence delivered in real time. I am Ragnar, the HODLBARBARIan. Stand armored, stack relentless. Let the weak hands feed the fire.